Welcome to today's special meeting of the Marin County Board of Education. Before calling the meeting to order, a few things. For special meetings, public comment takes place only for items on the agenda. If you wish to speak on any agenda item, you must submit a speaker card. The cards are located at the table immediately outside our board. Speaker cards must be submitted prior to the close of the public comment portion of the agenda item for which you would like to speak. Before we adopt the agenda, I want to note that we'll call for public comment on agenda and non-agenda items twice during this meeting. Because we're beginning our meeting early today to accommodate 2 student matters, our printed agenda has us taking public comment earlier than our usual time. I'll therefore call public comment as noted on our agenda and again after we return from the closed session and vote on the closed session matters, but before we begin our agenda items. We're gonna have a quiz on this. With that addition, see, I'm not asking for a motion to approve the agenda yet. We have to, yeah, no.
Yeah,
okay.
all we know.
Yeah, okay. Okay, meeting is called to order. Hey, roll call.
Heidi Garbarino,
Here.
Curtis Robinson, Nancy McCarthy,
Present.
Lee Delpan, absent. Marilyn Demser.
Here.
Cindy Johansson.
Here.
Jill Sartori is absent as well.
Okay. Before we adopt the agenda, I want to note that, I already.
Yes.
This is too much.
Okay.
Okay. I need a motion now to approve and adopt the agenda.
Adopt the agenda as amended, as you put it.
As amended, thank you.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I abstain.
Okay, 1 abstention?
I
Okay,
think that was a question, President. If you had a question.
Well, Christine McCarthy asked if she abstained.
Yes.
When it goes forward, but it does.
we have, yes, because we have a quorum +1, thank you. Okay,
Actually, did you abstain? I didn't care what.
I did abstain.
yes, 1 abstention.
But in view of that, it's to student members.
Okay,
taken.
okay, so we're gonna take public comment now. Okay, Nikki, do we have anyone here who wishes to address the board on items not on the agenda? There's no public. We don't, okay, great, then we'll move on then to our hearing, so
We have a consent
We have-
agenda first,
sorry,
consent agenda before we move on.
okay, okay, somebody, I'm sorry.
Move approval on the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? From abstentions?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this is. So. Okay, are we,
Moving into closed session.
okay, we're now gonna move into closed session. And. So the only people in the room will be
You're all get together.
Okay. All right, we're back in session and, okay, we're ready. John?
That's not.
Huh?
Count
Five. So, good, that's all this work. Great. Okay, the board has conducted a hearing in closed session on the appeal of expulsion in student matter 252602. And I will now entertain a motion on this student matter.
I will move to uphold the expulsion, but would like to make a personal comment. I'm grateful that your child, Mustas, is at the Vernon Community School. It's going to be a wonderful place for him. I'm convinced. I second.
Roll call. Patty Garbarino,
Aye.
Curtis Robinson. Yes. Nancy McCarthy,
I will state yes, but I will also indicate that only because the law requires me to make this decision. I do believe that the San Rafael school system failed your son. I think this is very unfortunate decision.
Marilyn Nimser,
Yes, I'll pull the expulsion, and I just want to say this, how hard this is for all of us, and we it's just very, very difficult, but we don't have a choice here because there are rules we have to follow. And this is one of them.
Cindy Johansson,
Okay, so the expulsion is upheld, the appeal is denied. Thank you so much. I think. Yeah, I just. Okay, the board will now vote on the appeal of denial of inter-district attendance request in student matters 252603 and 252604. Okay, do I hear a motion?
I move to deny the appeal request for Ari Cooper and Marcus Cooper to attend the school in the Miller School District for the reasons set forth in Board Policy 8610, Section 2, Number 3, that the effect of granting of the appeal would have upon the district's concern.
I second that.
Patty Garbarino,
Aye.
Curtis Robinson. Yes. Nancy McCarthy,
Yes.
Marilyn Nimser,
Yes,
Cindy Johansson.
Yes.
thank you very, very much, everybody, and we wish you the best of luck. So, I think right now we're going to hear public comments. Again, is that correct, John?
That is correct.
Okay, so is there anybody that would like to make a comment of any items not on the agenda? No public comments, okay. Okay, approval of minutes, we did.
Yeah,
Did we-
It's going to
did we approve the minutes?
we did, yeah, just second remarks.
Okay,
Okay,
Great, and I'll keep this as brief as possible. I only have two things to add, and one is something that's upcoming on the agenda related to the Oak Hill project. We're excited to share some important progress on the Oak Hill Workforce Housing Project. Thanks to the leadership of Senator McGuire, the project has secured $7.5 million additional dollars from the state, which was a really pleasant surprise for us. We thought the most that would come from the state would be 7.5 was a really positive upside surprise. This critical funding, combined with collaboration with the County of Marin to explore an umbrella grantor structure with sub-agreements through individual school districts, positions us to close the project's funding gap. So we're very optimistic that that's going to happen, and I think most of you probably saw that report in the paper. We're also evaluating a provision that would allow schools to transfer up to 27 additional units to the County of Marin if they're unable to fully utilize them. In addition, we've adjusted the assumed vacancy rate from 4 to 5% to provide greater protection for all guarantor agencies. Finally, as you've seen in the agenda, I'm recommending that the County Office of Education make a contribution to the authority for operating expenses. We're looking forward to the discussion later this evening for that matter. I also want to point out, this was a great moment of, I think, building relationships. We had the George Lucas Educational Foundation staff, 25 employees from GLEF, an operating foundation with two key initiatives: Edutopia, which amplifies educator voices and shares effective teaching and learning strategies with millions of educators, and Lucas Learning, a new venture developing AI-enhanced educational simulations grounded in project-based teaching principles that the Lucas Foundation is famous for, project-based learning. After welcoming the team to MCOE, Jesse and his team led a tour of our original occupation programs and classes at Terra Linda High School, highlighting programs in education careers, medical assisting, and construction at the CTE Center. It was a wonderful opportunity to showcase our outstanding programs and to emphasize the importance of relevance and pathways to success for all of our students. So hopefully, Cindy is the executive director of the George Lucas Educational Foundation. So it's great to have her and her team here. And I didn't get to go on the tour, but it looked like everybody was pretty happy. And I think
Very impressive.
it was well received. And a big shout out to Jesse and his team for setting that up. Thanks. That's all I have for today.
Thank you very much.
I have a question. I didn't understand what you meant by the MCLE going to contribute to operating expenses. What operating expenses? What, a hotel? So
For the JPAs coming up later on today's agenda, so there'll be a time to discuss that there. We get to report for
that MCLE would be contributing funds to the JPA.
yeah for like management expenses.
In addition to what they're contributing credit.
We're not, that's all we're contributing actually. And there's an agenda item coming up that we discuss.
Okay.
And the information that you provided about the 7.5 million in additional funds, is that anything more than what was provided in 9J? Is there any other documentation detailing that?
Yeah, the most recent story was that there was an additional $7.5 million.
And that's it. There's nothing, there's no other writing other than that. You said something else happened.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this is all there's gonna be an agenda item where we can discuss this in great detail today. And
Well, everything you just stated is going to be restated again.
yeah, and in more detail, with help from Matt Heimel and Kathy. Yeah, there'll be plenty of time to get into the weeds of that.
The next question is on George Lucas Education Foundation. I'm not quite sure exactly what happened. That happens to be one of the board members, the executive director of.
Correct. So there's the George Lucas Educational Foundation, it's been around for a long time. Their team came and visited us to look at what we're doing in terms of school to career education, to our programs, and our staff. Just
But is that there going to be some coordination between MCLE and that foundation going forward?
no. I mean, we always want to have a friendly relationship with the foundation, but there's not many
There might be coverage about innovative programs locally to this all around the world. So different programs in schools and highlight.
Coverage about the programs at MCBE.
Yeah, at Miller, at Sterling High School and, programs that are going out here, career technical education programs. But I can't promise that because I'm not an editorial department.
Okay, are we ready to move on now to item 6.02 quarterly report on Williams uniform complaints? John Lentz?
There's two reports in front of you this evening, there's a live report, and there are reports.
Are there any questions from the board? Okay, public comment? Okay, item 6.03 quarterly report and notice of surplus property, Adam Jennings.
Okay, I'm here tonight to offer the quarterly report regarding surplus property from the MCOE. Consistent with John's report, I will offer two reports, both for the last quarter and then the quarter prior.
Excuse me, is your mic on?
Hello, can you hear me?
We cannot, actually, no.
Should I try that again?
Thanks.
Like John, I'm here to offer two reports, both for last quarter and then a quarter before that. So there was nothing to report through July, and then from July to October, we have outlined in your packet the identified surplus property and have followed all existing policies for offering this property up to all public schools, districts, and community college districts in Marin County. All remaining property that wasn't claimed will be disposed of by our maintenance operations for our governing policies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
More questions, comments from the board? Public comment? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Item 6.04 monthly budget breakdown. County Office Local Control Funding Formula Calculator. Rita Brown.
Good evening. Misty. Want me to run on?
You can use the keyboard or this.
So we've agreed as a team that we would bring a monthly budget breakdown whenever we don't have a budget item on the agenda, just to keep you informed and to have a little bit more transparency. And so last time we had a budget breakdown meeting, we discussed the federal budget, and I kind of broke it down into 4 parts. Federal, state, local, and the biggest chunk of our local is, of our overall budget is going to be the LCFF and LCFF calculator. And so tonight we're going to talk about the county office LCFF calculator. Covers the budget. So the local control funding formula is what all schools funding is based on since about 2013. Yeah, 2013, and it's a combination of what we call the LCFF, the local control funding formula, and the LCAP. And so everyone is fairly familiar with the LCAP. We go through it in detail. It's about the program, and the LCFF is the fiscal part of that overall local control funding. And so all districts, the purpose of it was so that all districts receive equitable funding, or at least that was the attempt, to try to equalize where all districts are with funding. And as a county office, we have a little bit of a different funding structure. So most school districts are based on EDA, or in this county, a lot of school districts funding is based on their property taxes, but county offices are funded at a little bit of a different level. We rely mostly on what we call the operations-based grant, that is based actually on the county-wide ADA, as well as how many districts we have in the county. So I just kind of did a little bit of a comparison about what the county office and districts have, and then on the right-hand side, you can see county offices only have certain items that are included in their calculators that districts as a whole don't. And so those type of things are band funding, which is a part of our operation funding, which is based on the county ADAs, as well as number of districts, like I said, special education ratios, enrollment, and ADA for our county operated programs, which is MCS, which we discussed quite a bit here, as well as the number of districts that are in differentiated assistance. And so those are things that are on our county office calculator that you won't see at a district level. Again,
the goal is that overall, all counties receive what we call our entitlement. And you'll hear us talking about that a lot when we talk to districts and we go out to districts and explain their LCFF calculators. Everyone receives entitlement based on the same rates. And then depending on their district specifics, like whether or not they have a really high unduplicated student count or a high population of EL student or English learner students, or homeless students, or unhoused students, different districts will receive different levels of funding. So we shared this at adoption, which is kind of MCOE's budget breakdown. We have local sources, we have LCFF sources, federal and state. And then to break that down, the LCFF sources, you can see the county office base grant, which is also called the operations grant. But that funding that we receive through the calculator. And then special education is a large chunk of it, as well as all ed, differentiated assistant, juvenile or community schools, as well as we get something called the state guarantee, which is just a part of the calculation. So overall, the calculator itself is it's a huge workbook. It's multiple tabs. It's maintained by FICMA, which is the Fiscal Crisis Management and Assistance Team. They maintain it. They maintain county office calculators and district calculators across California. And so luckily we have that wonderful central agency that updates these and populates like all of our rates and everything for us. And so we get them twice a year. And they hand us out, and this is what we use this is what I personally use to create our revenue projections when I'm bringing revenue projections. And I update it periodically for items like countywide ADA or ADA and potential property taxes that I'm aware. Overall, next slide. Oh, we missed a page here. I was gonna tell you that our funding rates here are based on, you can see that LCFF entitlement, you can see the county operations grant. For example, I was just gonna point out that our operations grant for every student that we have at MC or MCS, we receive approximately $17,000 per student. And that's equitable across the state. So every county office receives that amount. And then some county offices might receive more per student if they have a higher unduplicated or higher level of need with their various students. So there's other add-ons that you can receive based on the level of need from your students. How it all connects to the local control funding formula, and the LCAP is Laura Trahan and I work together. She makes sure that I let her know what our supplemental and concentration amounts are, and then she makes sure that our LCAP and works with the MCS team to make sure that our LCAP covers those amounts that were required by law to make sure that we've spent the adequate funding that's showing that we are spending that additional money. And then because I'm always up here and then I'm always saying different terms, I thought, you know what, this time I'm gonna throw in a little glossary because sometimes I say acronyms and I forget to spell them out. And so I just wanted you to have this at the end of this document. Hopefully it's helpful to a lot of people. I typed in as many things as I could possibly think of. I'm sure I'm missing a ton, but I thought maybe it would be helpful for everyone just because I know I'm always using acronyms. I'm not always slowing down to spell those out, so. Were there any questions? Yes, I think Nancy's hand was up first.
You said that every district, every county office gets $17,000 per student.
If they run communities. So there's various levels of funding, and every county office will start at that base level of funding, and then it would potentially go up based on the needs of their students that live in that county. But the point of the calculators, whether it be district or county, is that everyone kind of starts off with the same base level to get what's called an entitlement.
And that would be only for school run by the county office.
Correct. So in our case, it's MCS and which is right here on our campus here.
When you talk about, you can adjust that, get more based on the need of the students. What are you talking about in terms of need? And does this county office have an adjustment that increases it above 17,000, and if so, on what basis?
So the need that I'm talking about is your unduplicated student count, which means your students are either considered English learners, socioeconomically disadvantaged, or unhoused or foster youth. And so those are the needs, those are the levels of need, and that is registered through like attendance in your CalPAD system. And that is what actually creates your supplemental amount, so that it's all part of a huge calculation, but that goes into some of your supplemental needs, and so that's what's used. I think it was like 238,000 or something like that, that we, that are peeled out for us, that says you need to focus this money on the students with the greatest need. And because we have a community school that has a fairly high of what we call unduplicated count, we are able to serve all of those students with those funds. And so a larger district might have to like quadrant out certain students or particular schools if they have higher needs, because we only have one school. All of those students have high needs, we're able to spend it on all of the students at that school.
So is that $238,000 above and beyond 17,000 per student? Okay, so school gets 238,000 in addition to 17,000 per student.
Correct.
And what are the percentages of the undifferentiated students?
You know, I don't have that in front of me right now, but I can get that number for you.
So
What are
you have something that shows that there are foster children, that are
yes.
English as a second language learners, and the other 2 or 3 categories.
Yes, we have very detailed information on that. It's confidential information, but we have percentages that I have that they use, and I plug into the calculator to help us spit out that final calculation.
And that's confidential information from the public, so they can't know how many.
No, the names are confidential.
The names.
Yeah.
The names are confidential, but the percentages and everything are included. In fact, we share, our calculator is shared with the state, so it's a public document.
And what is the highest percentage of that, those undifferentiated categories in the community school?
I don't have that information in front of me, but I would not have, that's not something I track. I don't.
the dashboard.
Oh.
Yeah, it'd be
Yeah.
reflected on our dashboard and obviously in the LCAP.
It's a child dashboard. As it per year, next dashboard is actually coming out, but number of persons. We'll have the update.
And every
And
school
then
has.
and then in each category will be listed by the percentage. In our school.
But the highest in that category would be socioeconomically disadvantaged, probably around 70-something%.
And that can be, so it could be socioeconomically disadvantaged and also be English as a second language.
But that's only
Or
one, so, yeah, it only counts as one though.
The original term I used, unduplicated, means that if a student meets all the buckets, they're still only counted once. That's why, I don't like to call them unduplicated students, because that's a very dehumanizing term, but that is the term used by the state, it's called unduplicated, and that means that they're only counted once regardless of how many buckets.
So you have no idea who they are. They could have been English as a second language, they could have been foster
There we go.
care.
But yeah, the principal knows that. I personally, as the business person, only grab the final percentage, because that's not information I personally need or that I need to plug into the calculator. The principals and the program managers, at the schools are very aware of who those students are.
And that is on the dashboard as well.
Laura, you're the expert on the dashboard.
The individual breakdown of students would not, if that's an amalgam, how they get those percentages. I think if we wanted to know the actual breakdown of how students fell, we would need to pull a separate report to look at each category.
But I would like to know that. I would like to know who these undifferentiated students.
By name.
That's something.
No, by number.
By category, because they've got like 5 categories, and I'm just wondering, what are the categories in this community that make up the $238? So that would be important to know what it is.
Do you think it's consistent across most of the county boards that run community schools?
That depends on your community. I mean, but Los Angeles is gonna be different than Marin County. Santa Clara is
No, I
gonna
mean,
be.
it's still targeting the same challenge. But I need a little more, so I don't know, it's not exact, obviously, but to me, I think the trends that we've been following. They're fairly consistent and.
I would think they're different in each community depending on your socioeconomic situation and your population.
Differences.
I think it's.
Well, these are knowable numbers, so.
Yeah.
we can add them to-
Okay, any other questions or comments, Cindy?
So it's question, also just a comment. You could go back to your revenue slide. This one,
Or the
This-
graph.
So I wanted to point out, I recently learned about the excess taxes. And I just want to point it out. So we have here the green box, so based on our current fiscal year, you're sending back to the state $400,000. Because it's in excess of the formula. That's the county office. If you look at all the districts in Marin sends back about 1.1 million to the state, money that I think many people.
Actually, I'm gonna check you on that one. So, all right, that is the difference between a county office and a district. So districts that have excess property taxes are considered basic aid districts. And that is what the bulk of Marin County is, and they actually get to keep all of their excess taxes.
Okay,
County offices by law, by code, and I cited the code because I thought if somebody wanted to, it's up on the screen. All county offices that have excess taxes are required to return anything in excess of what we call our entitlement, our base funding, to the state of California, and it funds the trial courts.
and it comes to trial court. So as I shared with Bree, I recently met someone who's on the county board in San Mateo. And they are one of several counties that are looking for counties to join with them to try to change the return excess funds practice. That's where they also had that $1 million number from Marin, which may or may not be accurate, but I just want to raise that there is a growing initiative that seems to me, at least as a community member, I think a lot of people in the community assume that their taxes are going to our schools, not being sent back to state to fund the courts. I don't think there's a lot of awareness about that, and considering that we need resources and education. I would encourage that we join that exploration.
Our excess taxes have been pretty steady, and we've actually been a non-excess tax. We're kind of what I would call a district, a cusper. We flip back and forth between excess and not excess. Counties like San Mateo give back tens of millions of dollars every single year. So, and that's what funds the courts.
Wow. Really, I would love a nice copy, paper copy of that, and the glossary and acronyms.
I would be happy to
Maybe
see.
just next time, it would be just wonderful, that was terrific. And thank you. Okay, 6.05, public hearing, sufficiency of pupil textbooks and instructional materials for the schools of the Marin County Office of Education. Dr. Lisa Miller.
6.
I'm sorry?
Tab 6, turn to tab 6, there we go.
Oh, you have a. I'm sorry. Okay. In accordance with requirements of Education Code 60119, we will now hold a public hearing on the sufficiency of instructional materials for the MCOE student programs. We're going to start by hearing from MCOE administration regarding the process for determining sufficiency of instructional materials. Then the board will welcome comments from the public related to the sufficiency of instructional materials for the MCOE student programs. Each individual will have 2 minutes to comment. Okay, I will open the hearing at this time. Okay, Lisa.
Yeah, happy to provide a brief
Thank you.
description of this, sure. So education code requires a public hearing to discuss the sufficiency of instructional materials. And to be specific, the sufficiency really is the quantity of materials. It is not a review of what we might all perceive the quality of the materials. It's just making sure that every student has access to the materials that they need to succeed in school. To determine whether or not schools have sufficiency of their textbooks and materials, we do engage with staff. We also, Katie and I spent time looking through cupboards and some of the classroom materials that teachers use. And so we do solicit input from our teaching staff to make sure they have the materials. The public hearing that you just initiated also serves as an opportunity for the board to receive feedback from the public if there are any public comments. The goal of this activity is to ensure that students have access to sufficient instructional materials.
Thank you. Do we have, John? Do you want the public comment first? Okay, is there any public comment on this? Okay, and how about board questions and comments? Okay, thank you so much. I will now close the public hearing and 2 minutes later. So, okay, thank you.
I'm on the next one.
Okay, now we're on to action items. 7.01 resolution number 1087, resolution on sufficiency of that's
correct.
Sufficiency of instructional materials for the schools of the Marin County Office of Education, and this is a roll call vote. Dr. Miller.
Yeah, this is just the resolution to adopt that memorializes that each student does have access to sufficient instructional materials.
Okay, questions from the board? Okay, on there, okay. We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, this is a roll call vote.
It is.
Yes. Ah.
Patty Garbarino.
Yes,
That's smart.
is that really loud? I was
Yeah,
emphatic.
they should
About my
have
yes.
Have
Have another quick.
Curtis Robinson.
Yes.
Marilyn Nemser.
Yes.
Nancy McCarthy.
Yes.
Cindy Johansson.
Yes.
That's true.
And resolution 7.02, resolution 1088, adoption of county school service fund, CSSF, 2024-2025 actual and 2025-2026 estimated appropriation limitations. And this is a roll call vote. Ray Brown.
It is, I think most of you have sat through a CAN limit solution before, so I won't go too far into detail. But this is based on the state's Prop 4 from 1979, establishing maximum appropriations limits. And this year we have no increase to our limits. Because our property taxes are fairly steady and our total taxable revenue is fairly steady, we don't see a lot of changes in this. The biggest variable is for us is countywide ADA, and our countywide ADA increased this year, and so there's no change.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board? Public comment?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote.
Yeah, it's a roll call. Huh? Patty Garbarino.
Aye.
Curtis Robinson. Nancy McCarthy. Marilyn Nemser. Cindy Johansson.
Yes.
Okay, item 7.03, memorandum of understanding between MCOE and the Marin County Public Finance Authority for a temporary financial support in the amount not to exceed $100,000. Can the be?
Good afternoon, President Nemser and members of the board. It is a great pleasure to be here today to see all of you again, to see so many finance colleagues again, sure. I'm here today because it's an exciting
Okay,
time.
wait, one sec.
We did
I'll introduce Matthew.
You know how long I regretted not doing that the night you retired. Now I can sleep at night.
It's very special and I appreciate it very much. It's an exciting time for us to be here this evening to talk about Oak Hill with you. And I'm happy to have our Executive Director of the Marin County Public Finance Authority, Matthew Heimel, here with us, who is going to be sharing some information. It was in 2020 when Marin County Board of Education and Marin County Superintendent of Schools entered into an agreement with the County of Marin to create the Marin County Public Finance Authority, the JPA that would oversee the development and operation of the Oak Hill project. At your November board meeting coming next month, we look forward to coming back to you with a full update on the progress of the project and with some information for you as board members and our superintendent and steps to be taken that we hope will move this project forward and to become the first workforce development project built in Marin County in over half a decade. As your staff report indicates, it was in January of 2025 when the County of Marin provided a loan of $108,000 in financial support to the JPA to cover preliminary operational expenses. Tonight, to further sustain that progress, we are bringing forward to you an MOU which would authorize MCOE to provide temporary financial assistance to the authority in the amount of $100,000 as indicated in the proposed MOU. I'm now going to ask Matthew to talk for a few moments about the operational expenses and things that the money will be used for and other provisions of the MOU. And then we'll have some concluding comments and open it to any questions that you might have.
So good evening and thank you for having me. And perhaps before I speak specifically to the loan, I can give you an update on some of the newest information with the project. So as you may have read in the paper, we're very thankful of Senator McGuire for having identified $7.5 million in the state budget. In addition to that, we got a $300,000 additional grant from the state. So in total, we are looking at about $18 million from the state funding for the project. This, along with through our discussions on our due diligence with the county, they have agreed to explore serving as the umbrella guarantor. And so those two actions where we would be able to be benefiting from their AAA bond rating to issue the debt, and then they would enter into sub-agreements with the schools. Those two actions make it so that we have a path toward coming up with a balanced budget. And this week at our JPA meeting on Thursday at 1 o'clock, we'll be going over it, the balanced budget plan. So we're excited about that. Over the next 2 months, as Ken said, we're going to be working to come to the schools boards for update and a final decision on the guarantor program. Our first step is going to the County Board of Supervisors to make sure that they will support serving as the umbrella guarantor. And so, so that's kind of a brief update. And our goal is to try to issue the bonds in the first quarter of 2026. But as I said, we'll be giving you more information. What's before you today is the operating budget. As you know, we have taken longer than expected to achieve that balanced budget. We told you at the very beginning we wouldn't recommend a budget going forward without a balanced budget. Because it's taken longer, the operating expenses of the JPA have gone past what the initial funding loan from the county was. So we are coming to you to basically ask for approval of that $100,000 grant, and it's very much modeled on what the county loan agreement was. And the idea is that MCOE would get paid back once we issue the bond back. It's to cover the executive director expenses, insurance for the governing board, as well as a minimum payment to our financial advisors for the next few months. And so with that high-level overview, Kathy, for specific questions.
I don't have a question. I'm very proud of, as a Marinite, to think that this project will go forward for people who find it very difficult not only to find housing, but then have to live outside of the county and all of that time wasted in transportation to and from and commute. And as we've discussed before, this will be a model for the state. Once again, Marin County leading the way. So I can't really thank you on behalf of all those people who are going to live there, but got on the ferry on Saturday and went by, and the fence is up, the orange fence. It will be just wonderful, especially the location.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Can I add a comment? Yeah, the specific item that's before the board today, to me, seems like, very, well, there are two things. One is, I think, the board has some authority to act on this, and so does the county superintendent. I've already said that I'm committed to voting yes on this, and that must be separate from the board. But also I think it's a minimal request. It's $100,000. It's actually not to exceed $100,000. It might not even be $100,000. And that's on top of what the county has already committed. And the county is going to get less housing from it than the educational workforce. So this is something that we've given, like, we put a lot of sweat equity for sure, but this is a moment for us to and it's a loan. So when the bonds are funded, that money will come back here. So I think it's a really nice, healthy gesture on the part of MCBE to approve this.
I'm concerned about taking money from MCLA, put into this project, and we're facing potentially loss of a lot of federal funds at MCLA due to the Trump cuts, and we've got special education requirements, etc. I don't believe it's appropriate to start lending out money. We're facing. Secondly, I'm concerned to this day, MCLA has not, me certainly, put an item on the agenda to talk about the other side of the Oakville project. Not because I'm against, nor are the others against workforce housing, but they're against workforce housing where the developer walks away with $5.9 million and schools are on the hook for the kind of money that they're going to get unless this entire shortfall is funded. I disagree. I believe that what happened in Serenity was an issue here. And I do not understand why there's type 1 housing instead of type 4 housing, which is going to put us close to $1 million for some of these units. I'm also very concerned that the approach of the advertisement for the Oakville project has been that it's going to be the Port of Madera Larkspur school system, when in fact it is going to be Davidson Middle School and the San Rafael schools. I don't know how many teachers are going to want to send, or want to live there, and send their children to those schools that do not have the same ratings as the schools in the Larkspur Port of Madera area. And none of these things have been, I don't believe, taken into consideration at all in this context. And finally, I'd like to say that I believe the county department has conflict in this issue in the objectives of voting.
If I could just make one point. One, I just wanted to make sure that the developer fees that are 4.9 million, there's a $1 million deferral. So I did want to share that. That ends up being roughly 4% of the project. And through our research, we found that typically the developer fees run about 10%. So we do think we're below that market. But the more important point I wanted to bring up, which I meant to bring up at the beginning, is I know that there have been concerns about the risks to the schools. And one of the things that we worked with the county on, because the county has a large number of demand for workforce housing as well, and they've always taken a lesser amount because we wanted to lead with the teachers. They are amenable to an option where the schools could transfer up to 36 units of housing and guarantor obligation permanently to the county if the schools aren't able to fill those slots. So we also think that was a very positive outcome for our due diligence period with the county. And so we are working to finalize that agreement along with that umbrella guarantor that the county is concerned as well. So I do think that's good news as well, and I wish I would have mentioned.
Matt, is there a way to make that non-permanent where it can reverse back if the populations change or the needs change?
So you may recall already we had a provision that there could be a non-permanent substitution. So we already had, an understanding that if a school couldn't fill a unit on a temporary basis, a county employee would take that unit and they could avoid their risk. This isn't trying to add an additional option where a school could actually permanently transfer. I mean, I think one of the things that we heard is, it would be good if the schools had an out. And, a guarantee in the finance community is not worth much if you have an out. And so the next best thing here was this option that we could have the county take on additional units up to a certain amount. And so we're going to have the current language is that it would be in those representative, I don't know if you remember, we had 9 unit blocks that the schools could consider. And so the schools could, with the option to notice the county that they would transfer up to 4 9-unit blocks back to the county permanently. So if the school doesn't need to do it, it's going to be a school's option.
And will that serve to keep the lower interest rate on the bond?
Yes, I mean, well, the umbrella guarantee is what's going to get us the lower interest rates. The option transferring it to the county means that all of our units would be guaranteed.
Right, but it would not in any way make it any lower, it would just keep it the same as what you were looking at. We were looking at, what is it, 17 million. Districts had to take on, has that changed at all?
Yeah, it has changed in the sense that by
7.5.
getting, one of the things to close the gap, we wanted to get the bond rated. And to get a rating, that's what we're using the umbrella guarantee, where basically we're piggybacking on the county's AAA rating to get an even lower interest rate than what we would have received with the 5 different guarantees.
And when you got the 7.5 million from the state, so that is actually a cash infusion. So that's going to then take it down to what, 10 million or 9.5 million? That was the shortfall, what you were looking for?
The shortfall was 17.4 million in January. There have been a lot of changes since then, so it's not exactly, equal to that. We've also made assumptions that we've increased the vacancy rate, for instance, from an assumed 4% to a 5%. That cost of about 1.5 million, but it helped to further reduce the risk to all of the guarantor agencies. So we're going over that at the JPA. We're going to be presenting that. So there's been a lot of changes to close the gap.
So when you make all those changes, what is the gap now?
It's a balanced budget, is what we're right now. There is no gap.
But the districts, what are the responsibilities of the district?
So
Of the school districts that you're trying to put on.
the assumption with the balanced budget is we have $24 million in grant funding. We have the umbrella guarantor from the county. We have the sub-agreements between the county and the guarantor school agencies. And we have all of our assumptions pro forma around issuing debt. That creates a balanced budget.
I understand what you're saying, but previously, in terms, the terms that were bandied about, was that there was a $17 million shortfall that the school districts, all the school districts had to take on themselves by whatever guarantors it takes. What is that now? Is that not an accurate statement?
Well, instead of the agreements being between the bondholder and the school districts right now, the agreements would be between the schools and the county. And it would include this option to transfer some of the units back to the county if they can't be used. But the financing still assumes the guarantor model with the school districts.
And how much is on, what is the school district, what are they responsible? Financially, could they be responsible?
It's the
For the
same,
5% vacancy rate.
they're responsible for the assumed revenue of their units. At a 5% vacancy rate, so in other words, the 95% of the revenue is.
So what would that translate to for San Rafael? San Rafael, I think, is agreed to take on how many? 17?
27 units.
So if it's 27 units, what would that translate to if they had a 5% vacancy rate
It's gonna be just over $1 million and then
annually?
annually, that's the maximum, but obviously. The more likely scenario is a difference in vacancy rate.
How do we get those numbers instead of just hearing you say these and now you
They're all
say?
posted on the website of the JPA, you can go online and look at them right now.
And I'd be able to decipher that the commitment, what was San Rafael's commitment?
27 units.
27, I'd be able to decipher that a 5% vacancy rate, they would have to pay possibly $1 million. Annually?
Approximately.
And how much of that, you're saying that 36% of that could be transferred to the county?
So right now, there are 43 units that are with the county. So there are approximately 90 units that are with the schools. Of those 90 units, 36 could be transferred to the county.
And that means all the schools as opposed to just each district, right? Or is it you take it?
First come, first served basis, schools, the 4 school agencies could transfer to the county.
So it's whoever comes in and says, I'm short on this and I want to come in. So even though another district may have larger vacancy than one that came in first, it's still first come, first served.
I mean, that's the only way we could think of it, be up to the school. I think one of the things the county wants to make sure is it's not taking units away from the schools, it's the school's option to transfer units to them.
Okay, and that was the prior question, that this would be permanent versus reversible. So if San Rafael came in and said, I want to give 5 districts, 5 vacant or 5% to the county, then that would be it. And then they no longer have 27, they might have like 22.
It's gonna be in 9-unit blocks, so they could go instead, they could say, instead of 27, we want 18, and so that they could do that.
And that's for every school, it's 9-unit blocks.
That's right.
And Tamalpais still has not signed on to take any units, is that correct?
Yes, I mean, they would be part of the MCOE pool for all the districts that, other than Nevada and San Rafael.
Why is that?
I mean, it was always envisioned that MCOE would serve as kind of the pool for smaller districts.
Is Tamalpais considered a smaller district?
And some medium-sized districts.
But Tamalpais itself has not come in.
No.
Independently.
I mean, the school districts are MCOE, Nevada, San Rafael, and College of Marin.
Right, and Tamalpais voted against coming in as a unit,
They never heard the presentation.
but they didn't vote for it.
They never considered it.
They didn't go vote for it, and we never anticipated all districts would participate in the program.
I thought they actually voted against it.
Are we ready to move on now? Any other questions? Comments? Thank you, everybody. Thanks so much, Matt, and thank you so much, Kat. Yes, we do.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Oh,
Thank you very much.
Motion carries.
Maybe another standing ovation.
No, I see that.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Thank you, guys. 7.04, appointment of an MC, Marin County's Board of Education rep to the Association of California County Boards of Education. So there's a new organization that has formed. It's actually the Association of California County Boards of Education. It's really new and is going to represent the county boards only, which should serve our needs better than the general association. And we need to appoint somebody, and I would love to appoint Cindy, who I know has already been involved, and Cindy, I hope you will accept and that we can, do we vote on Cindy?
I'll probably make that motion.
Okay. Second? Somebody seconded. I seconded? Oh no, I seconded it. Okay, all is in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I abstain.
Okay. Okay, Marin County Board of Education reports. I have a report. Does anybody else?
I have a brief report.
Great. Cindy, yes, Cindy, I'm sorry.
So I just, first of all, I had a fantastic time in early September as a representative of this board at the California County School Board Conference in Monterey. And I met board reps from all across our state. They were very excited that Marin was there. And what was most exciting, besides learning a lot about governance, the Brown Act, was the fact that the Marin County Office of Education was recognized as a leader in its pursuit of finding solutions for affordable housing. And so we were called out. All the other county boards were encouraged to look at what's happening. So that was fantastic. I also then started, because I learned about the ACC, which is a new acronym you can add to your class. And I started to attend their webinars. And this is a little more grassroots than the California School Boards Association, but it's been really fantastic as a way to hear about best practices of other boards that are looking at, just opportunities to improve the way they govern. And so I'll be sharing that with this board.
Terrific.
As we hear about various opportunities. And on that note, there are 2 opportunities for board members to be aware of. There's the California School Boards Annual Conference in early December in Sacramento. And I will attend, I'll report back, but if anyone's interested in joining, it's always nice. Oh, good. Oh, good. Fantastic. And then there's also, you have this lovely little flyer on your seat. There also, the California School Boards Association has a governance conference in early March, so the dates are in here. And last but not least, I was here at MCOE's office last Friday as a representative attending the meeting of the Marin Volunteer Tutor and Mentor Initiative. And they have just launched a website. This is a group that is creating a hub for 11 nonprofits in Marin that serve our youth in schools and out of school. And as a way to encourage volunteers in the county who want to support our youth. One of the examples that was given was the reading program at Davidson, where there are a lot of volunteers that are just finding it really rewarding as a way to give back. So just wanted to mention that. And that's my yes, that's right. Yeah.
That's terrific. Thank you, Cindy. That's great. We're so happy that you're involved in all these things. It's good. It's wonderful. So I have a report for MCSBA. Tomorrow, actually, October 15th, from 8 to 10 a.m. You got this in your email, but reminding you that there's going to be a breakfast here from 8 o'clock to 10. And we have, it's for all trustees and superintendents, kind of a back to school gathering. And the speaker is going to be Gretchen Shipley, who's going to talk about AI in education. And she's going to show how AI is impacting school operations and governance, and share 5 key safety considerations for schools, provide guidance on policy development, and offer tools and resources. And she'll be happy to take Q&A. Anyway, it should be fun and interesting. So hope you can make it tomorrow at 8 o'clock. It's going to be here. And that makes it easy. The parking lot. Okay, anything else? Laura, did I miss anything?
No, just parking across the street is probably that.
Oh, so I shouldn't have said that.
No,
Okay,
there's plenty over there.
park across the
Uh-huh.
street. Okay, all right, anything else? Okay, then I will adjourn the meeting. Meeting is adjourned.
Ready?